A kocsmába én már többet nem megyek, attól félek, sokat cigány nevetnek. Álljatok ki, kis baszabi hírek cigányok, 100-an vagytok, én egyedül kiállok. Álljatok ki, kis baszabi hírek cigányok, 100-an vagytok, én egyedül kiállok. Ablakomba besütött a holdvillám, azért romnyimatba fésüli magát. Fésül romnyi gömbör, hajjad egyre simára, este megyünk ketten a cigánybárba.
But we don't know, so... It's a piece I made in 2005 because I had a possibility to create a piece that they proposed me in France, in Lyon, at Les Subsistances. And actually I was thinking already for a while to articulate a piece around some questions that I had still, even after 15 years that I have stopped practicing folk dances, which I have done for quite a long time in Hungary in my youth. And the idea was to create a piece which would be the frame within which I could somehow talk about my questions or certain problematics that I had about this question of how to relate, how one individual can relate to tradition, to something that more belongs to, let's say, to the community or even to masses, where usually individual doesn't really exist, and my own contemporary choreographic practice, which is of course much more based on subjectivity or transformation. So I was in between these very different worlds, because my mother, but also my brother, my sister and their children, they all practice these dances, which I have really left for very specific reasons, and not only because I left the country. So then I wanted to somehow to bridge this big gap or this big difference, and not to bridge in a way, not really to change anything, because this I don't think this I could actually do, but to create a dialogue or to create a discussion around yes, certain questions. So the piece was the first desire was to share with the public something that for that moment on was completely private for me, and then I thought, of course, that maybe it was potentially interesting for an audience. And of course, this piece usually we present in a let's say contemporary choreographic context, where it's a gesture, the gesture, of course, of presenting, let's say, popular traditions, popular dances. In this context is a certain it's a displacement of context. Of course, to present it here, I think it's quite interesting. It's not at all. It's not necessarily the same context. It's not necessarily the same gesture. I think this is the how to say the challenge that the piece can give. Maybe this is also the limitation of the piece, because I invited some 6 other persons to be on stage with me, but it's true that it presents my experience, my questions, my point of views, and not and partly they can also talk about certain things, but it's yes, I try to problematize things, how I have experienced, how I have lived, what I think about it. So it's, in that sense, it's very personal.
To answer questions about links to existing tradition and breaking away from tradition. Is it better to continue performing existing dance forms, or better to break away and create new meanings for oneself? What to do? Tradition is characterized by authenticity, imitation, sexual roles, and limited individualism, while modernism is characterized by transformation and disruption, subjectivity, and the need for questioning a genre and its history. What to choose?